lot of people come to me and say that, for example, if they are from data background or are engineers, they'll say that, oh, Sakshi, it's very easy for you to say to build a personal brand because you're already working in marketing. So you constantly are communicating with a lot of people and probably writing copies and stuff for brands and constantly in touch with them. So it's easy for you to talk about your journey because you have stuff to talk about. And probably they say that, oh, marketing is an interesting and exciting kind of field where something or the other is going on. But I work in like a boring desk job where I'm working with numbers every day. So they tell me that, but how do we get out there and talk about our journey or start building a personal brand? And I always give them this advice that be it marketing or a very fun job or the boring job, you'll always have a story because you are working for it. And it could be in any way and every way possible that you could start talking about how your day at work went, what kind of challenges you had to face, or how you overcame it.
Before we dive into today's episode, please hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us grow and inspire more people on their journeys. Thank you. Hello, Sakshi. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here, Tom. I was so excited about this. And since the time you asked me about this, I already felt like a famous star because now I'm going to be on the podcast. So
You
definitely.
are too kind, Sakshi. I appreciate it. I have big expectations that it will be met, but I'm looking forward to it as well.
No, big or smaller expectations. I'm so grateful that you asked me to be here because I'm sure it's going to be a great time. We're having a conversation and it's going to be fun.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And Sakshi, for those who don't know you, can you please introduce yourself?
Correct. So I'm Sakshi Sureka and I'm 26. I'm actually based in India right now. I'm born and brought up in India as well, from Kolkata, India. And I've always been a person who really goes with the flow. Like, I'll just give you a very quick summary of my entire life. Like, this is the time I was in high school. I chose a science major just because my mom thought that in India, it's a stereotype that whoever takes up science subjects, they're considered to be smarter people. Right? So I went with it, even though I had this very clear in my mind. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be an engineer. So what's the point of it? Later I thought, but yeah, just to be the smarter person in room, I took up science. I also flunked chemistry once, which was, I think, my lowest moment and which made me realize that it's definitely not for me. Moving forward, high school, I got interested in economics and mathematics and took up an economics honors degree, which again was very heavy on numbers and all of the stats and the maths. And again, I thought that, oh, this is too much numbers for me. I probably cannot do this. I'm like too creative for just numbers and data. So I thought, why not put my hands on marketing? And I think that was the time when I decided, oh, I'll move to the UK, pursue a master's degree in marketing and analytics, which I thought would be the perfect sweet spot for my creative mind and for my data skills. So that was it. I think that was the moment which was a very big shift and very life changing for me because I was a 22-year-old who has never lived out of her home. Like, I've always been at home, not even in any other city in India for that matter. So I was a 22-year-old who was moving to a completely new country, completely new people, knowing nobody at all, with just three suitcases for that matter. And I had like no expectations what I could expect, how will I feel, will I enjoy it, not enjoy it, nothing. So I think that moment was when I thought that this is pretty life changing for me and this is probably my most courageous moment in my life at that point. But I'll tell you, once I moved to UK, I think UK is a country which just made me fall in love with itself. And
Happy
I
to hear that.
yeah, so I came here to do my master's where I studied MSc Consumer Analytics and Marketing Strategy, and it was from University of Leeds. I think that 1 year was amazing time of my life because you are a student, you are partying, you are juggling a part-time job.
It's like in the movies, isn't it?
Exactly. It's that but you are also curious and you're also excited to explore a new country. You also want to travel, but you are on a limited budget because you literally don't have money. So I thought this is not cutting out for me. I need to take up a part-time job, right? So as soon as I moved to UK in September or October 2022, I took up a job at McDonald's in December.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
oh boy, that was life changing. So, like doing night shifts from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, or sometimes morning shifts from 6 a.m. in the morning to 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I think it was all haywire, like everywhere. I was juggling my dissertation, my uni, my part-time job, and then when 6 months passed by, and then again looking for a job, looking for a full-time job. So it was all very crazy.
Just before we move forward, I was about to ask you that when you moved to the UK to study, why actually did you pick UK? Why maybe not some other country? Because obviously it's across the whole world, and UK far away, obviously coming from India. So why this country in particular?
So, I mean, to be honest, when I started my research and everything, I had very specific vision in my mind in terms of what kind of course I want to do. So, that was a very big factor. The second factor was eliminating where I didn't want to go, which was US. I don't like US that much, and I feel I won't find any kind of stability there in terms of my daily life and career as an expat or as an international student. So US was a very big no-no for me. Then I had few options considering Germany and Netherlands for that matter in Europe. But I feel because of the language issues, I
Mhm.
was facing a lot of difficulties out there. It was not easy being an Indian and learning a third kind of language. You
Yeah.
had to be certainly proficient in that. So that was becoming a hurdle for me. And luckily, when I started applying in UK, I started finding a lot of colleges or unis which offered the kind of courses which I want. So then I started shortlisting from there. Plus, I've always heard that UK per se has always had a decent balance in terms of work life. It is
Yeah.
not as fast and not as crowded as US for that matter, but it is not slow as well. So that's what attracted me, and definitely it's a good quality of life.
I'm glad to hear that. And then,
Yeah.
what were your feelings like? Were you excited, scared, something in between?
So I think being the first person in my family itself moving to abroad for their studies or stuff, because it was a big thing. Like, to be very honest, I come from a very higher middle class family, and it's not very common that people go for their master's degree abroad. It is expensive. So I think I was scared that what if I fail? Like, my parents have taken £25,000 loan, an
Yeah,
education
yeah,
loan, to send me to the UK for my studies. So it was a big pressure on me as well, that what if I'm not able to get the ROI? Being being an international student, you always think in the way that if you're moving abroad, if you're leaving the comfort of your hometown, there must be certain kind of ROI which you should get if you're investing so much money, right? And it's not just the experience, but also in terms of monetarily, you should get something out of it. So I think first, that was a bit of mixed feeling of being scared and a bit of pressured that way, that whether I would be able to do something out there if I'm not wasting my parents' money, stuff like that. And second, I was definitely very, very excited because I love traveling that way. Like, I love seeing new places. And till then, I didn't get an opportunity to do that because it was just after COVID, I guess. 2022 was just post COVID.
yeah,
So
yeah.
after a very, very long time, we are getting a chance to like move itself. So that was one thing. So definitely very excited. Like, I was so excited that the very first day I landed in the UK, I have not even got my student accommodation and everything, and I went out to explore, let alone
Yeah.
buying the utilities and the stuff which I would need to like settle my house. I just went to explore.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. And do you remember, like, what were your classmates like? If, for example, there were other people from India as well, or if it was more European, or I don't know, the global as well. What was it like?
So in University of Leeds, particularly, I think apart from Indians, there were a lot of Southeast Asians, like everyone from Singapore, China, Japan, and it's very funny that in my master's degree, there were only three people who were from UK itself. They were British.
Yeah. It's like the minority there, yeah.
Yeah, it's very funny that me being in England, there are only three English people in my batch, and it was 150 people batch. You can imagine.
Oh
So
wow, yeah, yeah. But it's cool that you still have. It's similar to LinkedIn because you've got connection like literally all around the world. You never
yeah.
know from where. It's like that country, which makes it pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's what I'm talking about, right? Like, once I moved to UK, I was exposed to like so much more. Like, I was not just constrained to people who are like me, but like literally anywhere, everyone from different kind of places. So that's what I was saying earlier, that when I used to work at McDonald's, I think that was a very big changing experience for me, because I used to communicate with people from all over the world every day on an everyday basis. So that was a very big learning lesson for me, that how do you actually communicate with people.
A quick note before we continue. One of the things I've realized from hosting this podcast is that I spent a lot of time thinking about the conversations long after they end. That's one of the reasons I started Unproduced, a solo podcast where I share ideas, lessons, observations, and questions I'm still figuring out myself. If you'd like to check it out, you'll find the link in the description. Now, back to the episode. So, Sakshi, and before, you also mentioned that once you finished your studies, you worked obviously in McDonald's. But what was it like for you thinking about your career? Because I remember, like, when you're finishing, it's not as easy as people think, because like once you finish, it doesn't work that way, that industry is waiting for you to work for them. So were you someone who was planning, or did you neglect it, or what was it like for you actually?
So I think this is one topic I have very extensively talked about on my LinkedIn as well. Like, first of all, it was not easy at all as it looks from outside, that I'm working 20 hours a week just to pay my rent. Then I'm working for my dissertation or my grades for that matter. And 7 months post university, I'm also intention of looking for a full-time job. And it is, and to be honest, it gets very difficult as a fresher when you don't have a lot of past experience to justify in the industry. How can you justify your McDonald's experience, that how should that get you a job, right? That
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense. So I think that was my biggest concern at this point, that how would I navigate looking for a full-time job along with McDonald's and along with my studies for that matter. But I think through navigating that, I realized that even though McDonald's is not a direct relation to my career or what kind of marketing job I was looking for, it still really helped me grow a lot in terms of communication. So, as marketing and advertising is a field which requires you to communicate constantly with people, it was very big factor in my personality development, I would say. So, as confidently, probably as I'm talking to you right now, if you've asked me 2 years back or 3 years back, I wouldn't have. Like, I was very shy talking to people in general. Like, but McDonald's was one reason which took me out of my shell, because I had no option there, right? So when you're pushed into the deep side of the pool, you have no option but to swim, even if you don't know how to swim, right? So I think that was one of the factors that I learned so much, that how to actually communicate with people, how to actually understand what they're feeling. Probably they're angry, probably they're not satisfied with you, but how to actually handle those kind of situations. So I would never discredit my that kind of experience, because that shaped me as a person, which probably my university modules or taking up a job didn't shape me in that way. So that was a very big factor for me, But along with that, looking for a full-time job and finding a relevant career was big stress for me. And there came a point where it was almost 1 year I've completed my graduation and I was still not able to find a job because the market was so bad and so competitive. And being an international student was probably an added disadvantage for me that way, because companies were always stressed that they have to pay extra amount to give me sponsorship or stuff like that. And with the existing stress which I had, that I need to obtain a visa to stay in the UK and work in the UK, which I had no certainty about, like I could be kicked out in a year or I have no idea what will happen. So that was like a hanging sword on my head that I need to get a job anyhow. But so that was happening, and I was working at McDonald's, and now it started taking a toll on me because I was not able to secure a job which was relevant to my field. And it was already a year I was working at McDonald's. And as you know, it's not easy. It's hectic shifts. It was taking a toll on my physical health, my mental health. Like, it is very funny, but during working at McDonald's, I gained 12 kgs of weight. And because I was
Yeah,
constantly eating those meals there, and the sweet
McFlurry every day.
McFlurry, I was making them and I was probably eating them, which helped. But I never realized that having a bad physical health was affecting me mentally as well.
Yeah, that's a
So,
good point.
so I think
I
1 year down,
Sorry to interrupt, but I like what you said before, like working in McDonald's, because people can say, okay, it's McDonald's, it's easy job and this and that. But although I haven't worked in McDonald's, but during my studies, I worked in a pub, which is similar, like doing
yeah,
customer service, and you deal with all kinds of people, whether it's people the way they behave or different nationalities. So there are like communication barriers, and you never know what it's like. You never know who you are going to serve. So I can relate to what you said, that although it was just like a pub work, but still it was something that gives you such skills and experience of communicating, dealing with people, customer service, and everything, that I also found it very helpful in my career and just learning how to communicate and deal with people.
yeah. So glad that you relate to that, because a lot of times I feel people undermine saying that customer service roles, or when you're working at probably a cafe or at a bar or at a pub, something like that, that's easy, and maybe it's like easy money for you, that you people could say that you're getting tipped and stuff like that, and you're probably working 20 to 25 hours a week. But you know that how much hard work goes behind that, because you're not sitting for a minute, right? You're probably doing shifts 10-hour longs where you're standing all day long. You're not sleeping at night. Yeah.
And it's also very different if on top of it you are also a student who needs to go to uni, needs to do dissertation and all stuff around. So it's not just work, it's also actually being a student. So it's much more difficult. So I'm glad
Yeah.
that you talk about it, because it's not as easy as people think, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I always like to talk actively about it because I really have respect for people who can juggle this much. Because being in those shoes, I would never say that it's easy to do that. Right.
Hmm. I
So
agree.
So whenever young people text me, or who are shifting newly to the United Kingdom or stuff like that, or anywhere in the globe for that matter, I would always advise them that you do take up those challenges, but also prioritize, like keep a check on yourself and see where your mental and physical health is going along with that. Because definitely paying for your rent and money is important, but it's not greater than yourself for that matter. Because to be honest, there came a point in my journey when I was like so done with working a part-time job and looking for a full-time job, that I was like that I'll leave everything and move back to India. Like, I cannot do
Hmm.
this anymore. Probably that time I thought that it's one of my lowest moments, but now when I see back, I would definitely say that that was a good decision which I took.
And would you say then, Sakshi, that again, I know that you said that the market was competitive. I guess it's still competitive, it's never easy. And also, obviously, a lot of things happening, but would you then maybe like advise people to start thinking about future career earlier, still while you are studying, or start looking for it earlier? Or based on your experience, what would you maybe do differently, if anything?
So I think one thing I always say that I would do differently is that as soon as I've enrolled in any kind of academic degree or university, I would start thinking about my career prospects then and there. And I'm not saying just applying for jobs for that matter, because it would be difficult for you to justify that, oh, you have just joined uni, why are you looking for jobs from now? But working on stuff which you could show as a proof, right? And this could be done in various ways, which I regret I didn't started earlier. One top thing which would be your personal brand.
Hmm.
So I started my personal brand very late after joining university, which I advise to everyone that do it as soon as you join university and as soon as you start thinking about your career, because it is just so important that you are talking about your journey, you are building in public for that matter, and you are constantly sharing whatever you're going through, be it your highs, lows, even your small class project or group project for that matter. It is so important you show that proof, you build something for yourself which you can actually take forward. I think that's one major thing which I would advise people to start earlier. But apart from that, there are always things like working on your portfolio, working on side smaller projects, be it freelance or be it just helping your family for that matter, probably your side family business or extended relatives. I think everything which you do, every work you do could be shown as proof if done with the right intention.
I agree. Be proactive. And with what you said with building personal brand, of course, that is something that I can very much relate. I think it's more relevant than ever. And as we know, even if not only competition, but AI emerging as well, it's like
Yeah.
no better time to start building your brand than now.
I swear. I mean, I think I started in 2023. For that matter, it has been almost 3 years now. I've been working on my LinkedIn. And as AI is emerging along with that, I still remember like the first time ever I used AI for my marketing project in university. So, and it was such a fascinating concept for me. Like, oh, I can give a prompt and all my stuff is done. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And
So,
how it progressed since then, right? And who knows how it's going to progress
oh my God.
even next
I
months, years.
It is limitless, to be honest. You cannot
Mhm.
imagine how and where it's going to reach. But on that, I think you just need to be proactive to learn AI as well. Like if
Yeah.
you're not moving forward with AI and just depending on that, you're probably losing your own conscious and then the competition. So that is definitely there
And never forget that it's never late to start learning it. If there's like someone who
for sure.
feels that they are behind or haven't started, you can start anytime. Better start late than not to start at all, right?
And for that matter, even when you look back, you'll always think that I should have started earlier. Like
Yeah,
just like
it's
my
true.
answer, I'm saying that even if I would have started earlier, I would have said no, I should have started in high school itself, probably.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
yeah, I feel the same.
yeah.
And you said, Sakshi, when you started building your brand, what was actually the reason or like first idea to actually start with building your brand?
So just like I said, that I was in a very difficult and competitive kind of market. And when I understood that, oh, just applying for jobs and waiting for a yes or a no won't work, I need to do things differently because this market is so competitive that I cannot simply rely on job applications, right? So then I came across LinkedIn. I was obviously using LinkedIn as a platform, as a job board for sure. But then I started noticing that, oh, there are a lot of people talking about how they are into this process itself. Because I had peers around me who was also in similar kind of situations, looking for job, probably not getting it, or maybe how they used to get a job. So I found it very interesting that, oh, I am also in the same field. I'm going through so much and so many different feelings all the time. So why not share about my process there? And to be very honest, it really started out as my medium to rant about my job hunt. Like I always say this, that I was very passively aggressive about, oh, I'm not getting a job, I'm rejected from this interview, stuff like
Yeah.
that. And when I started doing that, surprisingly, I started getting a lot of support, and not just emotional, but in terms of that people started sending me opportunities when they thought it's relevant for me.
That's
So
nice. Yeah.
so I thought, oh, that's very interesting. Like, I thought I'm just ranting about my job hunt process and getting my feelings out there in terms of writing. But this is so much more than that. Like, if I'm talking about my journey, I'm sharing about my process. There are so many people who are getting value out of it in terms that, oh, if she did that, probably I could try doing that as well. And second, when I'm openly talking about my wins or losses for that matter, there are so many people who are ready to help you out there in whatever way possible. Be it could be a referral, or it could be, oh, I saw this job, you could be a relevant fit for it. Why not apply for it? So then I started realizing that LinkedIn is so much more than just like a posting platform and a networking platform for that matter. And it has become game changing now. So I think that was my major reason which motivated me to start here.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. And recently, you actually hit a beautiful milestone with the followers, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah. I think it's 15K recently. So it's crazy to see how I probably started with 1,000, 2,000 followers, which were like my friends basically,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
who follow me for networking. But now it's a big community, I'd say. And it took a lot of showing the vulnerability, your wins, your losses, every part of your journey to probably reach somewhere where I am now. I still don't consider 15K like, it might be a smaller number for a lot of big influencers, but I feel it's not just followers for me, but it's literally a community. Because even if I'm ranting, or even if I'm crying, or even if I'm sharing about my wins, I know I have people who'll always be there for me, to support me, to give their moral support, to point me towards opportunities. And there will always be people who I can give value to. And it's always two way, right? So it has been an amazing journey that way, where I feel that it was a big right decision that I started ranting out on LinkedIn, because it's so much more than that.
I agree, and I was about to say that even though maybe for some people 15K might not look that big, or they're like obviously creators with, I don't know, 100K or even more, but then it's really about what are those people that follow you, because it can be 100K people that are not really engaged, that are not supportive, compared to, I don't know, 10K, which is people that follow you because who you are, that enjoy your content, that are actually engaged. So again, it comes down to quality over quantity, doesn't it?
100% all the time. Recently one of my friends complimented me, not now, when I think when I had probably 7 or 8K followers. She complimented me, you get a lot of engagement for the number of followers you have. And I was like, probably that's the biggest win for me. Because to be honest, the number of likes or the number of impressions really doesn't matter in the long run. How much it matters is that, oh, people are actually reading your post, they're reading your journey, and they're leaving out thoughtful comments out there. When I'm probably posting about one of my failures, or when I'm sad, they're actually taking time and effort to DM me and check in on me. I think those are the real wins, and those are the real gains which you get out of your personal brand. Because you've not just gotten a lot of opportunities, but you have gotten a lot of people will always understand the kind of situation you will be in. Because very honest, a lot of times my own friends don't understand where I am at, when I used to job hunt, or probably used to work at McDonald's. But there were people across the countries, from probably someone from Europe or Africa, who knows the same position I'm in, so they can
Yeah,
relate
yeah,
that,
yeah.
right?
That's cool, and I agree with that. Literally from all around the world. And I was about to say that what we discussed, like with the quality over quantity, with the followers or the community, it really makes a difference. I'm sure that you can relate. Like, for example, if the comments under your post, like if you have, let's say, 10 comments that, are AI and just summarize the post, don't say anything and agree, compared to just, I don't know, one, two comments, when it's actually a real person that shares maybe opinion, experience, or answers something that you asked in the post, it really makes a difference, even if it's like just a few that are kind of real, that add some kind of value, compared to 10 that just summarize the post and you're like, okay, what should I answer to this? It doesn't say anything, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And just like you mentioned, there's where quality comes in, right? And that kind of quality where you are constantly cheering people on or actually taking time out to write like a paragraph of your thought, and which is not from a bot, definitely not from an AI bot. I think that's when you realize that, oh wow, I must have written something down there, or I must have shared my thought for the right reasons that people are actually relating to it. So I would definitely prefer those two thoughtful comments over those five comments which are written out of like nowhere. Like I try to practice that myself as well when I'm commenting on other people's posts, or be it my friends or be it a new person I've come across on LinkedIn. I try to put my actual thought out there rather than trying to just for the sake of it, because there are a lot of times when I don't get time to engage, but I prefer not to engage rather than putting just anything out there.
That's a good point. And Sakshi, as you said before, that some people comment or reach out to you, for example, that you've got a good engagement or something. I'm sure that people ask you also, like, about some tips or advice or ideas on the growth. So what will be your maybe recommendations how to grow on the platform? I assume that like probably community might be one of those points, but anything else or anything that you would recommend?
So I think that is a very subjective answer in terms of what works for anyone. So I could say on my behalf only like what worked for me and what helped me grow. And that was one of the biggest factors there was that I used to share posts or my thoughts which were very relatable in terms of storytelling. So I think one key factor which I realized which used to work on LinkedIn was that when you're putting your thoughts or any kind of value in a way that it resonates with people in terms of a story, it used to work. Like 90% of the time, it used to work with people. I think this was one of the compliments I get from a person that she said that you write in a way that sounds like I'm talking to a friend. And I feel that didn't happen very like instantly, but it took a lot of practice in terms of my writing skills and in terms of writing my thought out there, that it come started coming across in a way that people found it very relatable for that matter. And I think that also explains the engagement, because there I have seen posts out there which strictly says that, oh, here are my 5 tips which you need to follow, and this will make things work for you. But to be honest, I would never say that. Like, that's a very personal opinion. There are people who are getting engagement and reach from there, but it never used to work for me. I needed to put that one anchor, that how does that add value in my life and how that could add value in your life. So if I've not experienced that, or if I've not gone through that kind of thing, it is very difficult for me to explain that to my audience that, oh, you need to follow this, because I noticed that that gap was bridged through storytelling, which I feel is a very important factor now, also working on LinkedIn. As you have noticed, that LinkedIn is pushing a lot of organic content for that matter, be it your short videos or text posts. LinkedIn is actively pushing content which is like, oh, come to a day in my life, or here's how I'm actually working at my work, and not just giving you tips for that matter. So I think that was my one of the biggest tips which I used to give people, that start showing up on LinkedIn, but as yourself. Don't try to be the LinkedIn guru from the first day itself, because
Oh my
that
god,
never
yeah.
used to work for me. Like,
And I feel like there are more gurus than enough. We don't need that more than there are.
I mean, I'll probably learn a lot from your personal experience, even if it's a win or even if it's a failure. Show me the behind the scenes. Like, I just don't want to know that you got promoted, or oh, you got like 5 new people to do your podcast. But how
Yeah.
did you manage to do that? Like, I would love Tom to tell me that you had such a warm approach. For example, when you approached me, it was such a warm approach that instantly made me say yes to doing this.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate it. Yeah.
so probably that's the hook, right? Here, that's the
Mhm.
catch here. That it was your warmth and the way you approach instead of a cold email that made me say yes to your podcast for that matter.
I agree. I was just about to say that I'm sure that you or anyone else can relate to it as well. That you get a lot of, I don't know, pitches or DMs and people trying to offer you something on LinkedIn, which, yes, it's probably part of someone's strategy, this and that. But sometimes it gets quite annoying if people don't show any effort, like in how to approach you. Like literally, first DM, they try to offer you something. So when there's actually someone who does some kind of effort, whether it's the way they approach you, build some kind of relationship before, or just for some reason to stand out, it really makes a difference because you get bombarded with whether it's pitches or, let's say, some kind of content on your feed that's like feels like AI or anyone could write it. You just appreciate when there is someone who approaches you as a human or in some kind of creative way.
100%. And I think it doesn't necessarily need to be a DM or you need to constantly be in touch with that person for that matter. But even when you're showing up in public, even dropping a comment or just a sweet gesture in their comment section also helps. Like, even though you message me or DM me for the first time, I know you because not just from your post, because we have been constantly engaging on each other's posts. So that is also a way where we have already built a relationship, even though we didn't have a one-on-one conversation for very long on our DMs on chat for that matter. And that also helped me believe that you don't need to be constantly be talking to thousands of people to build relationship with them, so that you can possibly collaborate or anything like that in future, but also take small efforts in your everyday life to build that relationship, and it
Yeah.
definitely goes a long way.
It's true. And after all, LinkedIn is a networking platform. So
Yeah, exactly.
take advantage of it, right? That's what it is.
Yeah. And I mean, today, if you have noticed, LinkedIn has introduced LinkedIn, the comment impressions, right?
Oh,
So,
yes, that is true. I hope it
yeah,
motivates people to actually, make some effort with those comments and
yeah,
don't do what we
exactly.
discussed before.
Every day I'm seeing posts where people are talking that one small, very short comment where they really talked about their thought openly in the comment section. That comment itself is getting like 50K impressions
Yeah,
without
that's
even
crazy.
posting on LinkedIn. So you can imagine how important authentic engagement has become. Like, it is taking you so much far away. Like, if even if you're not posting. So I think that's one advice I also give to people who come for me to tip. Like, okay, you are scared to start talking about your thought at the one first go. So start out by actually building relationship with people, by
Yeah.
engaging, and it could be with anyone relevant in your industry, be it your peers or probably even people you admire for that matter, who you want to potentially collaborate in the future. It could be those people where you're just leaving thoughtful comments or engaging with their posts. They'll definitely have a recall about you much more than if you're sending a cold DM to them.
Mhm. I totally agree. I think it's a great idea from LinkedIn how to incentivize people to actually comment properly and not like those comments we discussed before. And people sometimes might be afraid to actually hit post, start posting because what are people going to think of me? I don't know, this and that. So if people are actually afraid, start with the comments because now you can see that comments not only like people with experience such as you or someone else, they say comment it is very important, so do it. But now you can hear if you are afraid, just comment, build those relationships. It's much easier, and actually LinkedIn rewards that with those impressions.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, on that, I would really like to say that a lot of people come to me and say that, for example, if they are from data background for that matter or are engineers, they'll say that, oh, Sakshi, it's very easy for you to say to build a personal brand because you're already working in marketing. So you constantly are communicating with a lot of people and probably writing copies and stuff for brands and constantly in touch with them. So it's easy for you to talk about your journey because you have stuff to talk about. And probably they say that, oh, marketing is an interesting and exciting kind of field where something or the other is going on. But I work in like a boring desk job where I'm working with numbers every day. So they tell me that, oh, but how do we get out there and talk about our journey or start building a personal brand for that matter? So, and I always give them this advice that be it marketing or be it a very fun job or be it a boring job, you'll always have a story because you are working
Mhm.
for it, right? And it could be in any way and every way possible that you could start talking about how your day at work went, like what kind of challenges you had to face, or probably how you overcame it. So it is never it is never an exception for you that you cannot post on LinkedIn, or you never have, oh, I don't have anything to say. You always will have, but it is important that you need to spot those kind of experiences, be it experiences or be it stories which are happening in your life. So you need to start developing an eye to see your life as like a movie where you can find snippets everywhere, talk about, and probably add value to your community.
That is very true, and I agree. And if people still have doubts or don't believe us, just look at LinkedIn and you'll see how many literally people from all kinds of industries there are. And there are people from industries that you may think that those are boring, but still there are people with huge followings and from all kinds of backgrounds. So there is always like stories, whether it's from your life, as you said, to think about your day or anything. Sometimes you just need someone help you to find it, but never underestimate, that it's boring or you don't have anything to talk about because everyone has something to share.
I completely agree, and it always has to be there. And I feel you just need to be quite open minded about it, and just get rid of the fear of judgment, I'll say.
Mm,
And people
yeah.
might say that it's easier said than done, but what could be the worst thing happen? You'll get zero likes and zero comments on your post, but that is not killing anybody, right? So
Yeah, and that's pretty much how all of us started, because at the
that,
start you need to overcome this fear. And I think everyone goes through this in the beginning, because don't forget that even those that are way ahead of you, they started somewhere as well. And everyone, when they start, people are usually afraid, so don't worry about it.
yeah, I always thought I'm very shy of talking on a video for that matter, but look at me now. This is the first podcast I'm doing, and I feel good about it. So at least I started somewhere.
Yeah, of course, it's looking great. And Sakshi, I was just about to say, to be aware of time, I want to ask you kind of lighter questions as we'll be approaching the end. So, what are some of your hobbies or what you like to do in your free time?
So first, I'd like to talk about that at my work, I'm a very data oriented person because I work in performance marketing. So I'm constantly working around numbers and data and all of that stuff. But as I've said previously from my school experience, I'm too creative for just numbers. So I need to get that motivation out of creativity. So I do like to love working on Canva, be it designing invitations,
Pinterest boards.
yeah, for that matter, so that I can exercise my creativity somewhere. And so of course my LinkedIn is not just a hobby anymore, but it's my baby now, my personal brand, who I love to work on when I'm not actually doing my full-time job. So
Mhm.
that is my top priority. But except that, I love cooking and exploring new places where I can eat. I'm a big foodie, so I love to cook and I love to eat as well. So
What is your favorite cuisine?
I'll say it's Indo-Chinese, if you've heard of it. So that's like a mix of, it was invented in India, of course. It's like an Indian version of Chinese food. So if you ever have Chinese food in China per se, I won't like it really. Probably if this gets out, Chinese people could get offended. But but my taste buds are have too much more of like spice and all the masalas for that matter, for plain old Chinese food or even British food for that matter. No offense, but I feel it's very,
I think, no offense either, but I don't think. I hope I won't have to cut this out, but no one can say that the British cuisine is the best or something. Like, no, no offense, but it's a British cuisine.
I'm glad that you agreed with me on that. But yeah. So I think that my love for cooking and hobby started out in UK itself because I didn't get the kind of food I used to love. So I started making it. And then I started loving the process of cooking. It started becoming my very personal, my me time when it was like my unwind time when I'm completed work, I finished work, I'm alone and I've put music in my ears and I'm chopping and doing my cooking for an hour or so. So that used to be my, yeah, unwind kind of time. And there's where my love for cooking and then food even get more stronger for that matter.
And if you were to pick your favorite dish, do you have one?
So, as I said, my favorite cuisine is Indo-Chinese. I would love a good plate of Hakka noodles and chili paneer or chili potato for that matter, along with it. I could
Hmm.
probably have that every day, or ramen for that matter. I could have that.
Oh,
I'm a
yeah.
big Indo-Chinese fan. I could have that every day. But yeah, it has to be made as per me, as per my spice tolerance, stuff like that. I
Yes, yes.
give that
Yeah.
Indian kind of tadka, we say. So, like, special magic we play on that. But yeah, could pick that every day.
I think I've never tried like Indo-Chinese. Obviously, I had Indian, which I loved as long as it's not too spicy, and Chinese, but not like the mix. But I will remember it and
So once I
hope to
move
try
to
one.
UK, once I move back to UK, I'll definitely make sure you try. I'll make it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
no.
then, Sakshi, do you read the books? And if so, have you got any recommendations?
I mean, I'm very guilty of not forming a habit to read. I've been trying to do that since past year, but I think recently I was successful in finishing one book that was Atomic Habits, which I
Oh,
absolutely
nice. Yeah.
loved and I'm obsessed with that book. I think it had helped me make a lot of content and make a lot of posts also from that and become a very disciplined person in life. So even with my personal brand for that matter, I think it really helped me give a perspective on consistency for that matter. How can you be disciplined and consistent on whatever you're working with? So I think that has to be because I've not read a lot of books, and that's one of the books which I finished very recently. I'd say
Yeah.
I'm love that book.
I agree. I think that Atomic Habits from James Clear is like one of the books that I think everyone should read in their life.
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
it,
It is definitely life-changing perspective. And
Mhm.
me being a person, I've started forming my habits in such small ways that the changes I can feel the changes. Like it is just small perspective shifts which you can see in your everyday life. I think I talk a
Yeah.
lot about that on my LinkedIn as well because I believe that it's just your perspective which could completely change the situation for that
Mhm.
matter.
I agree, and I'm happy to hear that. And I know that Sakshi, you also enjoy listening to podcasts. So, what would be some of your favorite ones?
Apart from listening to you, obviously, I love listening to Mel Robbins and Jay Shetty. I think it was one of their collab podcasts, which I've seen for the first time ever. And that made me really interested in how they're talking about life in general, everything and anything and everything about perspectives, which I was just telling you that it really surprises me and I find it really curious that how small perspective shifts in your life can change the way you look at it. So that definitely has to be one. And in terms of marketing, I think recently I've been listening to Girls in Marketing. So I think that was very cool as well in terms of my expanding my marketing knowledge in terms of campaigns, what's working, what's not, and how brands are doing so many amazing stuff recently. So yeah, that has to be there as well.
I remember Jay Shetty because you've got him on your Wizzy, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken,
yeah,
on your
yeah,
website. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And then, can you please summarize where people can find you, follow you, and potentially promote any of your services or anything?
Yeah, of course. So I think anybody and everybody can follow me on LinkedIn for sure. And here I talk about my personal journey, my wins, my losses, and everything's in between. And I also love to do cute collaboration post with Kamya Marwa. She's also
Yeah, I like this. I was actually about to ask you. It's like beautiful carousels, and
yeah,
it's really well made, and I like the information as well. So
yeah.
I encourage people to check it out as well.
That is very nice of you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I love to talk about all the marketing, the brands, and what's going on, the latest campaigns which are running, and our thoughts and insights about it in a very aesthetic kind of manner through our carousels. Because I believe that when it's aesthetic and engaging, people would definitely be hooked. So that is obviously there. And more and more I'm talking about how young people who are probably international and moving to anywhere in the world or are into job hunting or stepping into their career for that matter, because I've gone through that a lot, from the thick and thin. I've experienced this market and this industry. I'm always here to help and provide my services so that they can advance better in their own job and journey or career for that matter. So they can reach out to me definitely through my cal.com link, which is provided on LinkedIn. So yeah, always here to help, add value to people's life, and obviously learn all the time from them.
That's very kind of you. I will, as always, add links to the show notes. And as you mentioned, Kamiya, I really like you two as a team because you
So
both are so positive, enthusiastic. I like your content. And I was about to ask you, like, did you know each other, I don't know, outside of LinkedIn, or did you meet over LinkedIn, or how did you actually get together to
so
collaborate?
so that's a very funny story that Kamya is my first ever LinkedIn friend who I
Oh,
made.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She is the first friend who I made on LinkedIn. Like, she definitely started out before me. So I was really inspired by her. And just like we were talking about authentic engagement, I think that was one DM where I sent her that, oh, I'm obsessed with your content and I love how you're talking about your journey. For sure, I would like to stay in touch with you. I think that was the icebreaker for us. And since then, we have been going through thick and thin together. I have seen her journey, she has seen mine, and we've always been there to support each other. So, yeah. And I think it's very funny that once we were discussing that sometime in the future, we're going to have a podcast together. So, you're going to be the next guest to do that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And I think it comes back to what we discussed before. It's really important to have the community of people and the people that you meet on the platform that support you, make it more fun just to show. And I think it's just perfect example. So I'm happy to.
Yeah.
And something that I was curious about. So I'm glad that I found out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad that people have started recognizing us as a duo. A lot of people comment on our posts as if this is like my favorite duo is back and stuff like that. And I swear,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so motivating and encouraging for that matter.
Mhm. And then, Sakshi, have you got like any plans, goals, or anything that you plan to achieve in upcoming months or maybe even years, and you would be willing to share with the audience to be excited about?
Yeah, of course. So I think on the New Year's itself, I posted that by the year end, I would love to hit 25K followers. And it's not just a number, but followers in terms that I want to expand to a community of 25,000 amazing humans. That's just a personal goal for me. I don't know if I'll achieve that or not, but I'm sure that whenever that happens, it's going to be an amazing celebration for that matter. Secondly, I'm really looking forward to expand my brand partnerships and all my potential collaboration opportunities on LinkedIn. I think one of that is really happening that by doing this podcast for that matter, I'm getting out of my comfort zone and talking on camera about my journey. So I think that's a small win for me that I've started expanding my horizons that way. So I think these two are very key essential personal goals in terms of LinkedIn. But apart from that, one personal goal was to learn how to drive, which I've
Nice.
started driving and I've obtained my license. So that I've
Oh,
achieved.
wow. Well done. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well done. And of course, we'll be hoping to hit that milestone. And of course, also well done on the podcast. Been enjoying that. You're doing great.
Thank you so much. It was a very lovely conversation.
I thank you too. And it's about stepping out of the comfort zone, isn't it? And
Yeah.
maybe something feels scary at first, but then once you do it, you actually enjoy it, and then
Yeah.
you might do more because it becomes just easier over time.
Yeah, for sure. Who knows? Once I started posting and reposting about the content you make out of this podcast, I start doing more podcasts for that matter. So
Yeah, that is true.
I really hope that happens.
And Sakshi, very last question. Is there anything I should have asked you and did not, or anything that you would like to leave the audience with before we finish?
I think we've probably touched everything for that matter. But I think for my audience, I would really like to just give one advice if you ask me overall, if it's in terms of personal branding or career in general. I think it's more about that, just show up as yourself and don't try to portray yourself to be somebody who you are not, because LinkedIn or be it your career, it's all about authenticity now, which is working.
Yeah.
So I suggest show up as yourself. Don't compare your journey to others. There will always be a lot of people who are doing so much better than you in probably the number of followers, in the kind of job they're doing, in kind of money they're earning for that matter. But there will always be those people. But focus on yourself, focus on your journey, and I think then everything will fall into place for that matter.
I completely agree, because if you compare yourself to someone, then you start comparing to someone else, then someone else, and it's like
It's
never
a loop.
ending chase,
It's
never
never.
ending journey.
Yeah,
And don't forget that you also never see the whole story. You don't know
yeah,
what's the
exactly.
background, what's the context, and everything.
You never know what I'm going through is probably not what I'm showing out there on my
Mhm.
LinkedIn. And if I'm posting about a win, I've experienced so much more behind that, which not a lot of people can see. So it's better to focus on what you are doing and try to just get better than your past version. And I feel that is a very big perspective shift for me, because now when I look back at myself from probably 2 years ago or 3 years ago for that matter, I always see and I always say myself that how far I've come compared to where I was earlier, be it in terms of confidence, in terms of skills, or the kind of work I'm doing. I'm able to provide so much more value than what I was doing earlier. And that is a win which I choose to focus on rather than what other people are doing or how they are winning. So, yeah.
I'm happy to hear that, and I can relate to it. I hope that it inspires people. And I think, Sakshi, that's a perfect message to finish with. I want to say a big thank you, of course, for joining me, not only for your time, but also it was great to meet you. I can safely say that the way that I see you on LinkedIn as someone positive, enthusiastic, and supportive, I felt the same during this conversation.
I'm so glad. I think that's the best compliment.
Thank you, and or it's well deserved. And as you said, it's your first recording. I think it was awesome. I enjoyed it. So once again, thank you. I'll be supporting. I hope that you hit your goals, and of course, wishing you all the best and happy to stay in touch. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was a lovely conversation, and I hope you onboard a lot of more creators like me so that we get to see a lot more nice personal advice and insights from people's lives. We're doing a great job with actually getting people's story out there. So, definitely big kudos to you for that.
Thanks for listening to Produced by with Tomen. Check the show notes for all the links, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your feedback. Speak soon.